Hi, I'm Pam, and this is the Dear Rockstar interview. My vision is to bring people that are living their why to you, to inspire you. People who have veered off the normal path, who are living a life of passion, meaning, and purpose, and are starting those things that have been rolling around them, and they refuse not to. Today, I'm so excited to get to talk to one of my favorite people, Wolfe from Oh Dang Hummus. Jesse, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
I am so excited for you to share your story. You know, your story of startup, so that we can give some context to everyone else, tell us a little bit about where Oh Dang is right now, and then we'll go back and kind of start where you started.
Yeah. It's been a crazy journey, but currently we're in over 400 Publix grocery stores and counting. And this coming week, we will actually be launching into the whole state of Florida for Whole Foods. Whole Foods. And our online sales have just been booming, and we're growing crazy fast day by day. So it's a dream come true, a bigger dream than I ever could have dreamt at the time, you know? So it's really cool. It's fun.
And you were on Shark Tank
3 months ago.
Wow,
yeah.
So much has happened in 3 months.
It's amazing.
Right?
The last 12 months of my life have just been a roller coaster of emotion and every entrepreneur's dream at the same time. So, you know, it's
dream, nightmare, nightmare.
Until you wake up, you go back to sleep, something changes. So, yeah, it's wild. It's wild. I mean, last 12 months have just been, I think about that all the time. Like 12 months ago, I was doing this, you know, and it's like, so someone asked me the other day, what's the next 12 months look like? And I'm like, who knows? Like, I can't even fathom. I was like, you know, if we keep working as hard as we are and, you know, what doors open up, I was like, but regardless, good or bad, it's an adventure and I wouldn't change it for the world.
So just so that everyone knows, how old are you?
I'm 28.
Okay, so you're 28.
Yeah.
You've been on Shark Tank.
Yep.
You're rolling out in Publix and Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Oh my, you know who.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so tell us about the first thing you started. When did your startup journeys begin?
I think I was like a lot of entrepreneurs when I was a kid. Like we all have that lemonade stand, you know, and it was really cool because my family always pushed us to like get out and make that $5 or $10 you wanted for that toy or whatever, right? So the first like kind of little business I remember doing is two things. One, I was really big into like bikes and bike racing when I was a kid. So
how old are you?
I'm talking like I was like 12 or 13.
Okay.
And in the basement of my mom's house, I had this like bike shop almost. You know, so like my friends would come over and we'd fix things, and like I would fix and like restore bikes and then sell them. You know, so that was kind of like my first.
The money piece was in there right away.
I did it basically to afford new bike parts, you know, for myself, and I didn't realize at the time that was kind of the foreshadowing of my entrepreneurial path. But it was addicting because I didn't have to rely on my parents, like, you know, giving me money. I could make my own money, you know. And I did that.
So that belief was seeded in you at what age?
Yeah, like 12. I mean, even maybe earlier because like my mom had a business. You know, she did medical transcriptioning, so I watched her grow that. And that was, you know, I was maybe 9 or 10 when they did that, and it was really cool to see that because I watched my mom do it. Then I watched my mom hire a couple people, and they were doing it. And then I watched her, you know, how it affected our family and our income. And then, you know, I kind of picked up the same thing when I did the bike shop. I'm like, well, I don't have to ask for an allowance. I can make my own allowance, you know? And I did, and it was cool because that, you know, my bike, for instance, you know, I learned my bike meant way more to me at an early age than my friend's bike that their parents bought them because I worked for my own parts.
When we work for things like, and we earn them, this whole sense of value, we actually understand value at a gut level.
Yeah. I mean, and I learned very early on that you learn to appreciate the things you get. It means more, and that was like one of the best feelings I ever had.
So you started with bike, then what?
You know, then as I kind of got a little older, you obviously, you know, get into cars and stuff. And I would like clean people's cars, you know, like just friends and families for $20, $30.
Okay.
So I started college at Kent State University at 18, right out of high school. And I was, I think at the time I was just a dishwasher, maybe like a cook, you know, at a restaurant, local restaurant of ours. Yeah, I was a cook. That's exactly what I was. But it was still only so much money. So I said, you know, obviously I remembered as a kid, I could control more of my income. So I was like, I wanted to make more money to go do things and save up, you know, while being in college. So it's kind of funny. I started a little detailing business. And, you know, nothing more than I made a flyer. I remember making the flyer on my computer. I just turned 19. And I remember going around, at first I was like, because Facebook had just come out, like 2006, I think is when this was. And I remember going around with flyers to car dealerships. I'll never forget this.
So you went into a car dealership.
Yeah, I was like, well, if I can clean a couple cars, I was always cleaning someone's car on the weekends. I was good at it, and I enjoyed it. Prefacing that, I remember driving by the car dealerships, and I see, a company out there with a truck spraying the cars off, on the lot. So they always look nice. So I'm like,
we call this customer discovery.
Yeah.
You're seeing that they really are solving this.
I was like, someone's doing this. I'm like, oh, I could do that too. So I remember I walked up so naive with a flyer, and I handed it to the car salesman. And I said, hey, I was like, I'm starting a car detailing business. Can I clean your cars? And he's like, yeah, we're actually looking for a new one. And I'm like, this is awesome. So I remember going over to the sales, the guy that owned the dealership. And he's like, well, what do you think about charging per car? And I'm like, I'm sitting there looking, there's 100 cars in this lot. And I'm like, well, probably like $15 a car just to wash it. And he just starts laughing. He's like, we pay $2.50 a car. I was like $2.50. He's like, yeah. He's like, I don't think you understand. He's like, we just spray them off. We don't actually soap them up. He's like, it just gets them clean, and it's, iodized water so it doesn't leave stains. And I'm like, okay, well, I bit off more than I could chew on that one. So I remember taking the same flyer, and I'm like, well, I'll come back to car dealerships. There's enough money in that.
Right.
And I went across the street to a boat dealership. And I was like, well, I cleaned a lot of boats.
Right.
Because everyone in Ohio hates cleaning their boats. And I was like, hey, I have a little detailing company. I'm a Kent State student at the time. So I went over and I did the same thing. I'd love to clean your boats. And I don't know if it was the same company. They let that boat cleaner go. And they said, yeah, we're looking for a cleaner. And I'm like, this is great. I'm like, it's my business. Like, I don't want to work for you. It's my company. He goes, yeah. He's like, can you be here? I think this is like on a Tuesday or something. Can you be here this Friday? It was Saturday. Can you be here this Saturday morning? We'll let you do one boat. If we like you, we'll contract you. And I'm like, all right. So I remember going there, and I literally went to Walmart on the Friday before and bought cleaning stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't look like a business at all when I walked in. And I cleaned the boat just like I normally did. And the guy was super impressed. He's like, great, let's do this. And that's what it was. I was like,
did he tell you how much money you were getting?
No. So, it's kind of funny. He's like, I'll call you and I'll tell you what boats I need cleaned and you quote me a price. So this is one of the first times I started using the internet, if you will, for business, right? I was always on there for Facebook just came out and stuff, but I never had done a lot of research, and previously the internet was really just coming up. So you played video games or chat with your friends on it. So I remember getting online and going, okay, well, I have to figure out how to charge for detailing boats. And I called, I was like, well, I don't want to overstep my boundaries. So I remember calling down to Florida and out to California to other detailers and picking 5 different size boats and asking what they, would charge to clean my boat. I did this for 2 days straight.
You did competitive landscape in different regions so that you had some pricing.
Yeah, and I kind of averaged it out. And then, he called me for the first boat, and I'll never forget it was a used boat, which were always the worst because they were left outside and stuff. And he's like, hey, he called me, and he's like, what do you charge? And I'm like, I was scared, because I was like, is he going to say no? Is he going to say yes? And I said, yeah. I was like, that boat, it's $150. He's like, great, see you in a minute. I was like, oh my God, he bought it. So I went out there.
You do the, what is
Yeah, I was like, woo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a client.
I was so excited. And I went out there and I cleaned that boat and life was good. I had my part-time cooking job and I had that part-time. And I did a great job. So next thing I know, about a month later, he brings me in his office. He's like, you're doing a good job. He's like, I need all the new boats in the dealership. They had probably 35 boats in an inside building clean for customers. We need them clean once a week. What do you charge me? So I said, well, initially, they're clean. They're brand new boats. I was like, so I'll do I don't know, depending on this size. So it was between $30 to $60 a boat, depending on the size. And I went in once a week and we just wiped them all down, basically.
Bam.
Yeah. And then, so I had consistent revenue every month. And before I knew it, I was working so hard on this boat dealership. The boats are coming in, being traded in, and the boats are being sold. So every time now they were selling a new boat, I got to prep it for the new owner. And then I started hooking up with the owners, and then I was cleaning boats at their docks all summer long. So I went from
did you add
yeah,
team,
I had to.
Were you doing this yourself? I'm spitting over myself because it's so exciting to hear. Sometimes we think it's so hard, but actually when we get out and we find a problem and we solve it well.
You just need one opportunity. One opportunity. I got rejected by the dealership. I could have stopped and went back to just doing my friends and families,
Yeah.
But
so now tell me what happened after the boats.
Yeah, so
boat to hummus, how? Yeah. What was the gap there?
I always get made fun of for this one. So boats did really well until the recession hit in about 2008. recession.
Then they were all cleaning them themselves.
Well, no, what happened was they were all getting repossessed, and I was getting contracted by banks to clean the boats.
To sell
them again, yeah. And basically I was like, it was even hard for us. And I was like, you know what, let's just dissolve this thing. I'm out. We had a bit of an issue. I had an ego issue with
ego and startup.
Yeah. Who knew? Yeah.
Tell me about an ego issue.
Yeah. So this is probably one of the biggest learning lessons I ever had in my life.
Wow.
I was working I had this one boat dealership that I've been doing all kinds of work for. I'm talking, we broke over $100,000 in sales, in revenue, my first year at 19, 20 years old.
Wow, you're making $100,000 on cleaning boats.
Cleaning boats. I mean, nothing, you don't need a college degree, you just need elbow grease, and have common sense. So I did this huge boat show, right? For the same dealership I've been doing all this work for. I mean, now I have like 6 people helping me. It's fun, and I
have a team.
Yeah, and I quit my serving job that I had at the time and was focused on this and going to school. My grades are suffering, which sucked, and that was kind of another learning lesson. But I had the opportunity. So in Ohio, we have this monster boat show. Everybody knows about it. It's like one of the biggest events everyone goes to every year. And he asked me to be the detailer for the boat show, which I was honored, And I went up. There was 45 boats, and it's in the wintertime.
You're 19?
Yeah, I was 19 at the time, yeah. I was just turned 20, actually, the week of the boat show, I think is what it was. So they drag all these boats up through the snow in Ohio. So they're trash when they get up there. So I brought my team of like 10 people up there. No idea with managing people, never had that experience. Billing, payroll, none of that. I had no idea what I was doing. I had my little crew, but that was about it. There's like 45 boats that we need to take care of for 7 days straight, right? And it was a huge payout. So we did it, and what it really did is it was my first opportunity to network with all these other boat dealerships.
Right.
So we're cleaning, my crew's doing an awesome job, and the boat dealerships around us are noticing it. So they're coming up and giving me cards, and now I'm like overwhelmed because I'm trying to figure out how to clean boat dealerships 2 hours away and stuff. So long story short, we get back, the boat show's over, great success. They sold a bunch of boats. We cleaned them all week. We kept them beautiful. He was happy. I remember dropping off the invoice, and I invoiced him as if I were cleaning his dealership,
right.
The $45 a boat. And, on a daily basis, every time we touched the boats for cleaning,
right.
$45. So I think the invoices were like $15,000.
Right.
And I'm psyched. I have about $8,000 out on the line between payroll and stuff. And I remember him calling me and saying, we need to talk. So I go into his office at the boat dealership. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I'm not paying this. And I was like, what do you mean you're not paying this? I was like, we spent all week taking care of your boats. And he's like, yeah. He's like, I just assumed it would be a much discounted price because they're up there. They're already in there. They're already clean. And you're just like touching them up. And I'm like, you have hundreds of people through these things every day. I was like, it's like your dealership on steroids. So we got in this huge argument, and he settled. He wanted to give me $10,000. And I was like, he wasn't paying the $15,000. And I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm like, you need to pay me the full $15,000. And he's like, $10,000, take it. So we ended up coming to a point of like $12,000.
Yeah.
So I had to eat like $3,000 of it, and I was pissed. I'm 20. I have this business that's doing well. I'm cocky at the time because I'm like, look what I built. Like, do you know who I am? I take care of everything you do.
So what was the lesson?
So I remember him giving me the check, and his name was Gary. And I remember giving me the check, and I said, Gary, I was like, you just burned this bridge. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, you got to, we're still going to continue cleaning boats and stuff here. And I'm like, screw you, I quit. I was like, we're no longer doing work together. I was like, I'm out. And he's like, what do you mean you quit? I was like, I don't need you. And I quit. I was like, if you're not going to pay your bill when, it was fair. It was very fair. I was like, I shouldn't have to fight over this. I was like, I'm done. So, I was like, it's agreed upon price. I don't, and I don't even know.
What was the bottom line? What happened?
Yeah. So basically I quit the dealership. I never went back. I said, you're on your own. And he called and begged, and it was rewarding at the time because I'm like, this guy misses me. Clearly, like, he knew he messed up. At least I thought. So, that's where I was like, well, we have all these other dealerships looking at us. So I started doing sales calls. Well, that's when the recession was really in its prime. And I was like, I screwed up. I should have just bit the bullet, moved on, and got better with contracts and agreed pricing. And then I remember, panicking. I remember completely panicking, going, well, now I have to look at doing cars. So I wanted to get into like exotic cars and high-end stuff and back to dealerships. And it was really hard because the recession slammed. And I was like, I messed up. Because the one dealership that was still doing okay was the one I quit.
So what would you say to your younger self?
Don't be cocky. Like, don't be arrogant, and don't think you're irreplaceable and you're the only one out there. You know, there's a ton of competitors. It was one of my biggest life lessons is don't let your ego get in the way. You know, because I took it too personal.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're having this success.
Yeah.
So tell us, so you got to hummus.
Yeah.
Right? And you've been learning a lot.
Oh yeah, like crazy.
So how did you first start this thing? How did you launch this?
So it's funny. I left the boat dealership or the detailing company behind. Detailing was cool, but there was a cap on it. You know, I could only do so much in a year in revenue, and there's a lot of competition. It's low-lying fruit, if you will, for an easy startup business. I wanted something bigger, something with more of an impact.
Yeah.
So I vowed to myself the next thing I wanted to do would get me an Entrepreneur magazine. Like that's one of my dreams, right?
Okay, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
So what is your idea of success?
Success is not a mansion and Ferrari to me. Success is impacting the world, inspiring, and to me right now, inspiring other people, becoming a role model, you know, and showing people that if I could do it, you could do it too. And, you know, impacting the business community. You know, I want to be like the disruptive person. When someone tells me I can't do it, that is more passion and more motivation to me than anything else on this planet.
How did this start?
So, you know, it's crazy. I obviously dissolved and kind of left the boating industry. And then, like I said, my next thing I wanted to impact. I wanted to be bigger. Yeah, and you feel this urge that like you're meant to be on this planet for something more.
Ooh,
you know,
stop right there.
Yeah.
Have you always felt that way?
You know, as I grew up, younger, I was like, you know, what do I want to be? What do I want to do? I don't know. But you know, there's a passion. Like I'm destined for something. And when I got into the detailing industry, it was my first real venture, if you will. And then I tried, you know, I really got on the internet and started looking. And then it started like, you know, okay, I don't know what it is. I can feel it. I want to do more than just make money. You're right.
And knowing that you have some kind of purpose.
Yeah, and it's so weird because it's like you feel almost like an anxiety from it, right? Like, oh my God, what is it? What is it? And then you really kind of get
Would you call
engulfed.
that like a call to have a purpose or a mission? Like it's like you're trying to sync up with something that's almost spiritual, like it's almost destined?
Yeah. And it's so weird because the moment I kind of got digging into hummus, it was like Plinko pieces falling in place, like do. And I was like, oh my God, like this is it. Like this, like it all just kind of like puzzled. I was like, this is an opportunity for me to do exactly what I've been feeling, you know, and that helps drive that passion, you know.
So how is this in your sweet spot?
Well, it's funny. I always wanted to cook. I love cooking, grew up cooking, worked in restaurants, you know, going through college and stuff. And my very first real job, when I was 15, I worked at a kitchen, a restaurant. So I had a great passion for food, and I grew up with my grandma cooking and my mom cooking.
Okay, so the cooking stuff is in your sweet.
And I knew I didn't want to work at a restaurant. I loved it at the time, but it's just not fun. The hours are rough. I mean, thank God we have awesome chefs that are passionate about that. But I love the chef. I love the passion. I love the food design, creating food. Like that's incredible to me. So this was really cool because I didn't go to culinary school. You know, I came to UCF for business.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, this is kind of fun because here's my chance to chase that chef dream. I can still be a chef and design food and push the limits of food, but now I get to take it onto a different platform.
So how long ago did you make your first recipe?
First recipe was fall or spring of 2013.
Wow, so how long ago?
That's like 2 years ago. Yeah, 2.5 years ago.
So in 2 years, you've gone from this didn't exist to Whole Foods and Publix.
Yeah, I mean, you know, really 3 years ago, I didn't know what hummus was. That's what's so funny. So
there's got to have been some incredible highs and some incredible lows.
Very huge high. I mean, like winning the lottery moments to, I mean, just some really dark days.
What have been the darkest things you've gone through here? Or the toughest parts of being an entrepreneur or a starter?
You know, I think there is a facade around startups that a startup is cool and trendy. It is. It's fun. And it's unknown and you're exploring the wild west, if you will, of whatever you're getting into. And that is fun. There's a lot of scary stuff that like you never see. You just hear, oh, that startup failed.
Like what?
You know, going into hummus, I mean, I had numerous failures and numerous moments where
give us a couple.
It shouldn't have made it. Well, let me preface this. There were so many reasons this company shouldn't be here today, but we were so persistent and resilient, it is here today because of it. So
lots of places where it could have just ended.
Yeah, I mean, just for starting out of the gates, you know what I mean? I was bitter from the UCF Joust business plan competition. I had gotten denied and rejected 2 years in a row before for other ideas.
Okay.
You know, and actually
A bitter entrepreneur.
I know, right? So
nothing worse.
I had this idea, and I had created these flavors just in my house as a hobby, something fun to do because I was bored. And I remember taking the business plan class, which we're using this idea just to get a grade.
Okay.
And I remember you coming in, and you actually substitute taught my class. And it was the day before, the day before the Joust application was due. And I never met you before. It was the first time I met you. And you remember you getting up there and you being Pam, loud and fun and energetic. And you're like, just do it. Everyone, if you have every venture in here should be submitting it. And I took that to heart, and I went home that night, and I was like, you know what, screw it. I was like, I'm going to try it. I was like, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to get rejected again. And I remember submitting on Friday, and Monday I got accepted. I was like, whoa. But I almost didn't do it.
So you went into a business plan competition.
Yeah, and that
Did you win?
No, that was another rejection, you know?
Or not.
It was, I mean, I saw it as rejection because obviously, like, I'm very driven and I want to be the best at whatever I can.
You wanted to win.
Yeah, you know, and everyone told me my idea was great and I had it together and I worked so hard for it. And I remember I crushed the finals. I mean, I was so proud of myself. It was the biggest thing I'd ever done.
And then you don't win. So.
Yeah, and I wanted to quit again. And I remember it was a bad day. The Joust finals, I was really upset. I'll be completely 100% transparent.
So there's all these moments where we're tempted to give up.
Yeah.
Was there another moment?
Yeah, well, so the Joust was tough. Leaving the Joust was tough. I had been dating.
After that?
Yeah, I've been dating a girl for 4 years. We lived together, and I lost the Joust, got third place, right? Really had me kind of upset. Like, am I even worthy of being an entrepreneur? Is this destined for me? We broke up. We separated. It was not a good separation. So I had that on my plate then too.
Okay.
You know, and my whole life got thrown upside down. I was single. I didn't have, I had to find my own apartment and stuff. I'm trying to start this company. So that summer was really tough. And I didn't touch it. I didn't touch the hummus thing all summer.
Just put it aside.
Yep. I said, screw it. I just kind of put my head down and tried to figure out what I wanted to do in life, where I was going to go, what was next, because I thought I was going to marry that girl. And fall starts back up, and I was still trying to get through school. The Blackstone Launchpad opens, right? And it was funny because we weren't even supposed to be at that opening. The grand opening party. And I was in O'Donnell's class. Mike O'Donnell had a professor at UCF. He takes us down, and we're there for the celebration, and it was cool and whatever. And I'm like, oh, great, we have this like entrepreneur thing going on. And of course, I still, you never put it to the side. I was always thinking about this hummus thing. And I remember Dr. Ford coming up to me afterwards and saying, how are you? How you doing? I was like, good. School just started. And I was like, yeah, summer was okay, like a little rough. I was like, but he said, what are you doing with the hummus thing? And I'm like, I'm working on it. And he said this, and it's so funny because we just talked about this last week. He's like, the most heartbreaking moment for me as a professor and your friend is going to be the day when I see someone else with your idea on the shelf.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, it just laser etched in my brain.
Because you weren't doing anything.
Yeah, and I pretty much was giving up. I didn't fully give up. I didn't say screw it, move on, start something else. But I wasn't focusing on it. So I got serious. I remember turning around and walking on the launch pad and signing up right there.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to do this. And then, you have, like you said, you have your good days. Like there's the day when I got accepted into the finals. That was a great day.
Yeah.
And then, 2 weeks later, you're getting third place, which I shouldn't have been so sore about it, but I took it so personal. And then...
Well, you bounced back well.
Yeah, you bounce back. And you learn that though, right?
Along the journey, what are some of the other things that people don't know about entrepreneurship or starting? Like you said, there's this facade around.
Yeah,
that have been difficult for you.
Everyone assumes things. Everyone assumes because you have a business that you're rich and you're not. Everyone assumes that, because you're around all these people day in and day out that you have, people, I don't know how to describe this. Entrepreneurship can be extremely lonely.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Quote,
Yeah.
tag. Entrepreneurship can be extremely lonely. Why?
Well, everyone thinks like you see these startups on TV and they're surrounded by all these people. And when it's your company, you don't have anyone to lean on. If it's just you, especially especially as a solo entrepreneur or even a team of two, it's you. You don't have upper management to go cry to or lean on or say you messed up. You have advisors which help, and I had a great team of advisors, still do, around me, and mentors. But at the end of the day, when your team members go home and your mentors are off doing things, it's you, and you tend to, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs go through this, you tend to isolate yourself mentally, even like just in the car driving home, and you're really hard on yourself. You are so hard because it's like, you're going to make mistakes. And that's great. And you're going to fail because if you're not failing, you're not growing. But it doesn't mean every failure is easy to swallow, and it could be anything. I remember, it's crazy. There are definitely times along our journey that we've had some rough patches. And, I sit there and I wonder, how am I we're not going to make it. This isn't going to push forward. I quit my job for Oh Dang Hummus, and I had some money saved, and I cashed in what stock options I had with the company and stuff. So it gave me a little running start, but I had to run a company and support myself off those funds.
Yeah.
And I remember
your burn rate.
Yeah, my burn rate, and we were selling at the farmers markets and stuff, but I was trying to grow it faster than what we had coming in, and it was working. And I remember I quit my job in June. And by October, we were running really low on funds, at least to push forward. We needed more. And I had to figure out, like, what are we going to do? Do I have to, I was way too early to get an investor. And I remember panicking, looking around, like, well, I don't know where this money's coming from. So with UCF, I had an opportunity to go do a business plan competition up in New York. And I was like, it's just a good time to get up there and network, and maybe I'll meet some investors. And I saw the other competition up there. You're talking 20 of the top teams in the country of collegiate entrepreneurs. And long story short, we went up there and somehow took second place. I won second place in the thing. And you know what it gave me? A $15,000 check. And I remember flying home. I cried, because it's like you hit that rock and you don't know you just don't know.
It looks like there's no path.
There's no path, And then it's like, I still look back and I don't understand. We're competing against teams that were working for NASA and healthcare technologies and startup tech ventures, Red Bull, all kinds of and we make dip. We make hummus. We're
and you win.
Yeah, so second place.
You said you're a man of faith. How is faith a part of startup and entrepreneurship? You're only in control of so much. I don't care how hard you work, you have to put your head down, work hard, and be at the right place at the right time. Shark Tank, I remember it was this time last year. It's been 1 year exactly. I just auditioned for Shark Tank. My one friend mentioned that Shark Tank was in town auditioning. And it was weird because, we were coming off the rush of winning the competition a couple months ago. Like, things were looking good. Still trying to figure out what we were going to do. And so I was like, you know what? I was like, we're too early for this. And I remember her fighting me on it. She's like, you're perfect. Like, you're already in a little bit of revenue. I was like, but we don't have big revenue. So I remember driving home, and you just get a sense of urge. Like, let's do it. What do I have? It's the good fight in you, if you will, to go, what do we have to, let's try it. It won't cost us much. Right.
And then, so I was like, what? I started thinking about we'll turn it into a publicity stunt. We had a couple hundred followers. We'll dangle the Shark Tank bracelet, whatever. So I went down there, and we went down, not really 100% we got to get on the show. We went down just to have fun.
Right.
To get the bracelet, to have the experience. And the odds of getting on are very slim. So I went down and you audition, and we had fun. We just had fun with it. It was really cool. And they tell you might hear from us 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. We might never call you. And they're very brash about it. And I'm like, all right, well, hey, we left. It was fun. That was fun. What an experience. I got to say, we were expecting to see sharks. We didn't see any of them.
Right.
But it was cool. And 2 weeks later, I'm driving from my house to UCF, and I'm on 408, our highway over here. I get a phone call from California. Not thinking twice. I answer it on my speakerphone on my truck, and they're like, hey, I'm so-and-so from Shark Tank. We loved you, and, blah, blah,
You're
blah.
like, somebody's punking me.
Yeah, it was the craziest thing. So I was like, wow, really. I was like, okay, yeah, definitely would love to move on. So it hit me, and then afterwards, I called my grandma, right after. And I'm trying to tell her, and as I'm calling her, she answers, and I'm driving, and I start crying like crazy, to the point where I had to pull over because I was so emotionally overwhelmed, out of all those people that tried out, like they only picked a handful.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are the odds? Like it just validated my company.
Well, and it's easy to believe when things are going our way to say, oh man, God's in this, or this is what I'm meant to do. I was created to do this. It's really a lot harder when you don't have any money and the doors aren't opening.
And you know, it's funny because we could talk about Shark Tank up to a point, then we had to go radio silent on it. And we had to deter a lot of people away from the concept that we were even on it. And we did. We hid it from everybody except for my grandma. I told her. She had to be my rock. And, you know, so here we are, you know, we're pitching to Whole Foods and we're pitching to Publix. And we had a lot going on in the spring of 2015. So the company, in my eyes, is growing.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. And there's still a lot of unknowns. I don't know where I'm getting money from. And so the company has showing all kinds of opportunity. Right. And our bank account is just crashing. And it's scary, you know, and you start doubting yourself again, you know, and this is that roller coaster. You have your really killer moments and you have your just darkest days.
Well, yeah, but that's the whole idea of faith, right? It's this knowing when we can't see.
Yeah.
But it's this knowing, like you said, when you first started looking for something that was bigger, it's kind of like you know spiritually that you were born for a purpose.
Yeah.
And you found it. But that doesn't mean it's easy.
No, and I'll tell you what, you have to have something to believe in. Well, it doesn't matter what religion you are, or if you're not religious at all, you have to have something because at the end of the day, your parents can't help you get in a Publix. At the end of the day, your friends can't help you, you know, build 3,000 tubs of hummus. They can try, but it doesn't mean you're going to be successful. So at some point in time, you have to let go. And, you know, I prayed a lot during those times. I mean, I remember May of 2015 sucked. Shark Tank, as you go along in the process, you only know what you need to know at the moment you need to know it. So you don't know if you're going to get on television. And the television is our big break.
A ton of uncertainty.
Yeah, you know, and it goes from 45,000 people, you know, and they're cutting constantly. So we knew we were in like the top 5,000. We didn't have any idea where we're at, and we're still working with them. And they tell you every time they hang up the phone, we're working on this. It doesn't mean you're still going to go forward. Okay. So we already got rejected once by Publix. And Whole Foods was, you know, interested in us, but we were a little too early for manufacturing. We had to figure out those kinks. And we were flat broke.
Flat broke. No yes here, no yes here. And we don't know on Shark Tank. Lots of opportunity, but nothing breaking through.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing farmers markets, and the farmers markets are just keeping the doors open. We're not bringing in. I didn't want to keep growing in the farmers markets because that would just take us into one route we weren't supposed to be in.
Right.
If we wanted to stay that channel, we could have went that channel and made a cool little local business, and that's fine. But I had a bigger vision, which, you know, it was a lot of work and effort, and it just would have taken us away from this big goal.
Yeah.
And I made that decision, and I was beating myself up every day for a month straight about I should have stuck with the farmers markets. I should just focus on this.
I have some cash.
Yeah. I can pay my rent. Yeah. So, you know, I remember there was a week at the end of May. I was super down. I didn't talk to anybody. You know, I did the bare minimum of what I had to do to, you know, to meet with my team to make sure we made hummus. I kept to myself, and I really was in a dark spot. I was in a rough place, and I was like, you know, it sucks when you get so many people finally supporting you, and you're like, I'm about to let all these people down. And you think to yourself, am I going to be the laughing stock of UCF? Are all my friends going to think I'm this huge failure? You know, like, I mean, I've made mistakes and I've failed before, and they were much smaller. You know, I mean,
This was very public.
Yeah, this is very public. You know, a lot of people had started believing in me and were rooting for us, and, you know, getting on shelves of grocery stores. We had been on, you know, local news channels and newspapers. You know, so like people knew the Oh Dang name locally, and I was getting extremely nervous to be embarrassed, and I was preparing to be embarrassed of just a monster failure, and I blame myself because I had an opportunity to grow organic, you know, through farmers markets and, you know, slowly, and I chose a route that was a lot more aggressive. It was the riskier route, and, you know, I was relying kind of on a gamble, if you will, you know, of hopefully the Shark Tank thing pans out. I need one of these bigger grocery stores to say yes.
One door needs to open.
Yeah.
And which one opened?
Well, it's funny. They kind of all did at once. And I remember, that month.
A trifecta.
Yeah, that month of May, I don't think I've ever prayed more, and I grew up in church. I don't think I've ever prayed more in my life than that one month. I mean, I was praying breakfast, lunch, dinner, at bedtime, twice at bedtime. I had my grandma praying for us. I mean, it was, it really restored like good faith in me. I mean, I always had it, but I mean.
So you've always.
Yeah,
because good faith, but this is a month where you're just like,
it's dark. I mean,
something breaks.
I was ready to quit. I mean, I was ready to throw it. I was like, we're done. We are shutting up shop. We're out of it. And I was bracing for the impact of what am I going to tell my family? What am I going to tell my friends? How am I going to get out of this thing looking like a decent person? And
then
I still had the fire. I wasn't fully ready to quit. And then I got an email, right? And I remember the email saying, hey, you need to leave this week in June open. You're flying out to California.
Shark Tank.
And I said, oh my God. I'm like, this is incredible. We weren't out of the woods yet, right? But I was like.
But one door was open. Yeah,
that was one door that opened. And I was like, okay. So I remember, we're broke. I remember calling my grandma and I said, hey, listen, I didn't want my parents to know. Like, nobody really knew about the Shark Tank. I couldn't tell them. I was like, we got it. Like, we're going to film. And she was so excited. And she's like, I'm so proud of you. And we're excited. I'm like, listen, I need to borrow money. I was like,
can I borrow some money for a plane ticket?
Yeah, I was like, I need 2 plane tickets to go to California. I was like, we can afford the rest.
This is the story that we need to hear.
Yeah. Because
we're all sitting out there and thinking, it's me.
Yeah.
It's got to be easier for everyone else. It looks like it's so easy because we don't have these conversations where we say, yeah, we were getting on Shark Tank and we had no money, or we had felt like we were going to quit.
Yeah. I mean, and I think if every entrepreneur, I don't care how big, how awesome your company is, you hit those moments. I don't care what business. There's a moment where you're like, this sucks. This is too hard. This sucks. It's too scary. This sucks. I'm too responsible for all these people's jobs, and I have all this. I mean, I remember signing our first loan. I'm like, oh my God, I'm responsible for this amount of money now. And it was the most terrifying thing ever, when the day I signed the loan. So it's, so
as we wrap up, you are on the shelves at Publix, nationwide rollout?
Yeah, so they have 6 states right now. We're in the whole state of Florida.
Okay. And going into Whole Foods in the state of Florida?
Yep.
All right.
Growing quickly.
So what would you say to a starter that's sitting on the fence?
It's training, right? Every failure is another opportunity to learn a lot about yourself and how strong you are. The human spirit is so strong, so incredibly strong. You are the strongest person ever. And I remember there's times where I was like, my life sucks. And I've said the thing, no, it doesn't. I'm in good health. And I think about, and I have a very close brother that's in the military. And I think about him like, that guy walked into 5 tours of duty. I was like, your life doesn't suck. Yeah. So something didn't go your way. Suck it up. And you're going to get through this. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what choice you make. No one's going to kill you. No one's going to put you in jail for making the wrong choice. Hopefully in the business world. But, you're going to be okay. It's not like you're going to die
Keep
from
it
this.
In perspective.
Yeah, get a reality check. And, turn to people. Stop thinking about it. Get out of the house. Go do something. Get your mind off of it. Yeah. So the 2 things I always say is, 1, execution. And that's another whole story, but just do it. It'll never be a perfect time. Right. There's no such thing as the perfect time. The perfect time is now.
Right.
And the other thing that I harp on, and this totally hits on it, is being persistent and resilient. Nothing goes smooth. And you know what? It makes a crazy cool story. And every day I get to walk in the office that I created and my team created, I'm so appreciative of it.
Yeah.
And it's cool because, this has been a journey. Entrepreneurship is a journey.
Yeah.
You don't buy entrepreneurship. You don't get an entrepreneurship, license. You earn it, and you create it.
It's something you do.
Yeah,
you become.
Do. Yeah. It's no different than winning a gold medal maybe at the Olympics or signing a deal for the NBA. This is your opportunity. Everyone has struggles. And if you want it bad enough, that's why I know now when they say don't start a company unless you're passionate about it. Because you have to. If you're only in it for cash, you're in it for all the wrong reasons. Yeah. Be passionate about it, love what you do, and want to do something to change the world or impact something, money will follow. It just does. Yep. And I encourage all starters, to do that.
So get your hummus sauce, your hummus dressing, eat your Oh Dang Hummus, the Ben & Jerry's of hummus. And thank you for inspiring us and being such a great
being out here.
dear rock star.
Yeah, you rock it. Thank you.